Hi everybody, it's Martin here with more down-to-earth teachings on mediumship, without the fluff. So in today's video I want to talk about the question, can you develop mediumship on your own? And I want to look at two different scenarios. Can you develop mediumship on your own in total isolation without the involvement of anybody else? And the other scenario is, can you develop mediumship on your own without any formal training or formal teaching? So that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. If it sounds of interest, stay with me. Okay, let's get into it. So developing in total isolation. Can you develop mediumship in total isolation? Well, you can certainly sit for spirit, you can meditate, you can create a relationship with spirit. You can build that relationship with your spirit guides. You can develop your inspiration, your inspirational writing, your inspirational speaking. You can learn to receive guidance from your own guides and helpers. Absolutely. But you cannot develop evidential mediumship on your own for reasons that I will go into in just a moment. So over the many years of teaching mediumship, I've met people in my classes, my courses, who've told me that they've developed mediumship by themselves. And when I say in total isolation, they've said yes, in total isolation, by myself, no one else present. And they tell me that spirit comes to them, spirit gives them information, and that they're working as a medium. And I say, well, is it evidential mediumship? And they say, yes, absolutely, it's evidential mediumship, information about people who've passed to the spirit world. So later on in the class or the course, when we get around to making a link, what I find is often they will struggle to make a link, or they just simply cannot do so. So that tells me that what is taking place is not actually evidential mediumship. It can be our own imagination. It can be the creation of our own mind. It can be wishful thinking. It can even be delusion, whether that's conscious or subconscious. We believe that we're communicating with spirit, and we believe we're getting information from deceased loved ones. But sadly, it's not always the case. And it can be incredibly hard to explain to people that what's taking place is sadly not mediumship the way they perceive it to be. And generally it shows me they don't necessarily understand what evidential mediumship is or how it works. So what exactly is evidential mediumship? Evidential mediumship is where we as a medium link with a person in the spirit world who belongs to somebody here, belongs to a sitter or a recipient here. And what we do as mediums is we get information about that spirit person, what we call evidence. We relay that evidence to the sitter and we check with the sitter, can they understand it? Do they understand the information given? We may also get messages as well while we're doing mediumship, but the key point is, can the recipient confirm that the information that we've got is accurate? For it's that confirmation of evidence that actually demonstrates that we are doing mediumship. If you give a lot of information and the information is not taken, it may not be mediumship. So it's the confirmation and the validation of the evidence that demonstrates that we are linking with spirit, that demonstrates that we are doing evidential mediumship. So we cannot do mediumship in total isolation. Spirit come forward to connect their loved one here. If the loved one is not present, it's unlikely that spirit will come through. It's very rare that spirit come through if the loved one is not physically present. Think about it. If there's not a great chance of you being able to connect to your loved one, why would you give it the time and effort if there's not a high likelihood that it would happen? And even if you did get information from spirit, you have to have somebody to check the information with. You have to have somebody to check that it's accurate. So we cannot do mediumship in isolation with no one present because we have nobody to validate the information and the evidence we get from spirit. So the general rule is you need others present to develop your mediumship. You cannot develop it by yourself. The best way to develop is in circles, classes, workshops and courses. We need to work with other people to do mediumship. We need a sitter or we need another person in a circle to pair up with us, to work with us. Ideally, it's best if we know nothing about the other person. So you shouldn't try and practice mediumship on your family because the chances are you will know the same spirit communicators. So mediumship is best practiced with people you don't know or people whose loved ones you don't know. So when you're doing mediumship, we start working for one person, one sitter. We pair up and we work with one person. And then we ask for people from spirit who connect to them. We ask for one of them to come and work with us. Then we open up to receive information from them. We open up to receive that evidence and we give that evidence. Then we have to check with the sitter that they understand the information given. And only when they understand it does it demonstrate that we are doing mediumship. So if you'd like more tips on how to practice mediumship, then I do have a video called 10 tips on how to practice mediumship, and I'll put a link to it in the card and also a link in the comments and description below. So there is an exception to what I've been saying, and it is possible for spirit to come forward when there is not a sitter or person present with you. And that generally happens before a demonstration or before a sitting. And what it is that spirit know that their loved one is planning to come to that sitting or is planning to go to a demonstration with the medium. And because of that, they know that they will take that opportunity to come forward to link with the medium, to come forward early and create that connection. If there wasn't that opportunity to connect, then I doubt they would come forward. It wouldn't make sense for them to come forward unless there was a good chance they could connect to their loved one. So there is an intelligence behind it. That's what I want to get across. So whilst there's an exception, there's logic and intelligence as to why there is that exception. If you're enjoying the video so far, then do hit the like button, do leave me a comment and let me know, and do consider subscribing to the channel. So can you develop mediumship on your own without any formal training or formal teaching? And the answer is yes, you can, to varying degrees. Yes, you can, but you may meet with varying success. So some people, I would call them natural mediums. There's a very strong ability near the surface, and it doesn't take much for them to be able to work with mediumship. But for others, it may take a lot more training or coaching for that potential to unfold. So there is a lot of information available in the public domain that teaches mediumship, including this video on YouTube and many more videos on YouTube. There are also lots of books that teach mediumship. And the quality of the teachings varies from excellent all the way through to fair, all the way through to very poor. So some mediums also offer courses and classes that you can study and watch in your own time. I myself have a home study program, I have teaching videos, and I have pre-recorded courses that you can purchase and watch in your own time, which would give you a very good, solid foundation in mediumship theory. So some of the material available is of a good standard and some isn't. If you just randomly search for material, it may be pot luck as to whether you find quality or whether you don't find quality. You can also get practice through facilitated circles, facilitated classes, where there's somebody facilitating everyone to work doing mediumship, although they may not necessarily be teaching mediumship. So I differentiate between practice circles and taught circles, where there's an experienced medium teaching people how to do mediumship. In a practice circle, it may be just someone who brings people together to help them to practice. And generally those facilitated circles are generally either free or very affordable. But in taught circles, the medium normally charges for their time. You can also get practice through doing exchange readings with other students. An exchange reading is where two students come together and they both work for each other just to get that opportunity to practice. So you can develop mediumship by watching videos, reading books, doing facilitated practice, and doing exchange readings without ever doing formal courses or formal training with a tutor. And if you do come across good teachings, you may be able to develop it to a reasonable standard. But if you don't come across good teachings, you may not. So here's why I don't recommend that you should develop without formal training. First of all, you may have some false ideas or misconceptions about what mediumship is and how to do it. You can also develop bad habits, which can be very difficult to lose. I know some people who've developed in certain styles and they cannot change what they do if they do it for long enough. So if you develop bad habits, if you develop bad practices, it can be incredibly hard to unroll those bad practices. Also, without any feedback, you may believe that your mediumship is working well when actually it isn't. You may believe that certain things are working well where actually there's a lot of room for improvement. Developing by yourself without formal training can be very inefficient. It can slow the development process down, can make it longer, can make it more challenging for you. And if you don't have support, then you can become disillusioned when you encounter challenges in the development process. I know myself that in the early stages I encountered challenges, and I was ever so grateful to have good quality tutors to ask questions of, to get my head clear about where I was and what was happening. So those are a few reasons why I don't recommend that you develop by yourself. So why should you develop with a good teacher? Well, a good teacher can help guide your development. A good teacher can answer any questions you have. A good teacher will be able to encourage and support you, particularly during the challenges. They will help you overcome those challenges. Also, a good teacher should be able to give you feedback on what's working and also highlight areas for improvement, highlight areas that need further work. That constructive feedback is really worth its weight in gold. A good teacher will also identify bad habits that start to develop and will help you stop them before they develop further. And a good teacher should be able to help you speed up your development process and smooth that development process as they work with you. So I recommend that you do as much training as you can with good quality teachers. Even if you can only do several courses per year, the more you can do, the more it will benefit you. That feedback will help you. That teaching will help make sure you're on the right track. So in conclusion, can you develop mediumship on your own in total isolation? No, you can't, because you need other people to work for. You need other people to confirm that your evidence is accurate. Can you develop mediumship without formal training with a teacher? Well, yes, you can, but I don't recommend it for all the reasons given. I recommend that if you're serious about your mediumship, then you do get as much formal training, as much formal teaching as you can. So I do hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've got a lot from it. If you have, hit the like button and do leave me a comment, let me know. If you enjoy my teaching, do subscribe to the channel, check out my other videos. So I hope you found this video helpful, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one.